And this one's for the makers who have made.
So I decided to take a nice quiet Sunday and kind of catch up on my recording schedule, record some new episodes, kind of staying off the internet, so I'm not missing anything, am I? You know, nothing new going on in Force Awakens news, is there? Is there? Hi folks, this is Ron, and you're listening to Star Wars Delusions of Granular, the Star Wars podcast where we talk about Star Wars twice a week. We pick a Star Wars topic and get granular with it, hence the title of the show. You can find all of our episodes at delusionsofgranular.com, as well as subscribing to us on iTunes or Stitcher. You can use your podcast app on your iPhone. Find us there. You can also find dialogue about the show, whatnot, on Facebook at our Facebook page, facebook.com/SWDOG, or on Twitter at SWDog77. And if you'd like to contribute to the show, leave feedback, ideas for other episodes, please call us 651-337-9364, or email us at SWDOG77@gmail.com. All right, folks. So, with not much else going on in Star Wars related news, I thought Rebels came out, and if you remember from listening to our show last season, when JP was still around, and JP and I we lumped a bunch of episodes together when we talked about Rebels. We didn't talk about it every week. And, now that, I'm handling the show on my own for a while, and can be a little bit more nimble about it, I thought, maybe I'll be able to talk about Rebels more on a week-by-week basis. We'll see how that goes, but I'll definitely be talking, today about the first episode, the premiere episode of Season 2 of Rebels. Lost Commanders. Now, earlier this year, this past summer, we got kind of a sneak preview episode. I'm not entirely sure what that was, but I had assumed that was the beginning of Season 2, but they pulled a fast one on me, and that was just kind of a summer special. Introduced Vader. Gave us more of a Vader. I know he was introduced at the end of Season 1, but Vader was definitely in it, and even kind of fought with Kanan and Ezra a little bit. And it's pretty exciting. But, then we went for, a few months without Rebels. So I was just like, oh, what a tease, right? What a kind of a ripoff. But I was just very excited to get back into Rebels. As some of you may remember, JP, my co-host, who's off being a father, a new father. You may remember that, our verdict on Rebels at the end of Season 1 was a little mixed. I definitely was enjoying the show. JP was a little bit more skeptical of it. He didn't really, he didn't think that the new characters, mostly the main characters of the series, they weren't gelling with him too much. And, since then we've gotten, the Kanan, Marvel comic book. We've gotten a little bit more backstory on Kanan, and, I'll be honest with you. None of that's really helped me. I've kind of taken a turn for the worse on good old Kanan and even Ezra of the new cast members. They're going to have to kind of prove themselves to me because, kind of revisiting some of the episodes and from Season 1 and even reading the Kanan book, I was just like, Kanan, I don't know. Doesn't he's not the heroic figure that I'm looking for, but maybe that'll change in Season 2. We've gotten exciting new trailers for the entire season, and it looks like it's going to be pretty action-packed. lot more in-depth character arcs. We've even gotten Dave Filoni talking about how we're going to get episodes just focusing on each character. So we're going to find out more about Hera and more about Sabine, and apparently Sabine is going to be a pretty important character moving forward. But good old Dave Filoni says that pretty much the only character that doesn't have an arc is Chopper. Chopper is he's kind of a jerk at the beginning, and he's going to kind of stay a jerk. So there you have it. That's So going into season 2, obviously as season 1 ended, we had Ahsoka Tano showing up, and this obviously got me very excited for season 2. Ahsoka Tano, much favorite character of mine from the Clone Wars. The fact that she is now in this new series, I feel like that's going to help bring this series more depth. Obviously, because she has a connection to Anakin. Does she even know that Anakin is Darth Vader now? Don't know. But we also got glimpses in the trailer for the season that there's going to be some clones. Captain Rex in particular, and a couple others. And, the first episode of season 2 does not disappoint. Like I said, it's called Lost Commanders. And it's basically about finding out what happened to Captain Rex and a couple other clones. So let's just dive into it, and I'll try not to make it a play-by-play episode, but I will definitely be talking about what happened in this show. So again, I'm not one for warning people against spoilers, but if you haven't seen the first episode, I will be talking spoilers about it. So anyway, the episode starts off with our crew. Their ship, the Ghost, kind of docked with one of the rebel cruisers, and they're saying that they're kind of a little bit worried about protecting the fleet, that they need to kind of recruit more people, more allies. And this is where Ahsoka kind of chimes in and says that she knows somebody that maybe they can go find. And it's interesting so far. I know this is just the first episode, but we've heard rumors that Ahsoka is really not going to be a main character in this series. That she's really going to be kind of on the sides, not in, maybe possibly not in every episode, but she's here, and she kind of sets our main characters, the rebel crew, off on a mission to go find this old friend of hers, as she has to go and kind of deal with her own thing. And, her own thing is trying to figure out who that Sith Lord was that we saw, that she saw in that summer episode we saw. And obviously that Sith Lord is Vader, and it's Anakin. So hopefully they'll handle this well, and that there'll be some emotional impact to her finding out that Vader is Anakin, and Vader finding out that Ahsoka's still alive and around. We'll see. I think there was already some hints that Vader might know that, or at least the Imperials know that Anakin's Padawan is still alive. So anyway, it was I thought it was a little bit clunky that she kind of sets our team up for a mission, and then just kind of it's like, well, can't go with you, sorry, bye. Anyway, our crew goes. They have to go to this planet called. They have to go to the Selos system. That's where this old commander of Ahsoka is at, or at least they use a head of a tactical droid that Ahsoka has, kind of as a homing beacon to find these clones. I don't know. It didn't quite make a lot of sense. It seemed a little bit clunky the way they set up the beginning of this episode. But basically, our rebel friends are off on their mission, and as soon as they go off on their mission, Hera and Chopper kind of get into a fight, because Chopper tells Hera that the hyperdrive isn't functioning correctly on the Ghost, and, well, they can't even go on this mission now. So that leaves the rest of our crew, Kanan, Ezra, Sabine, and Zeb, to kind of take the Phantom, their smaller shuttle, down to the Selos system, the planet that they're going on. Feels, again, I know I've mentioned this before in watching the first episode, that preview episode, but a lot of this feels very Star Trek-y to me, you know, like, oh, the Enterprise can't go down to the planet, let's take a shuttle, you know. I know I'm not as familiar with Star Trek, but this seems like a very typical thing that happened on that show of like, okay, can't land, you know, the big ship, let's send a smaller ship down to kind of handle the mission. Yeah, just I get vibes here of just not being very Star Wars like, and again, maybe it's just the way this episode was kind of set up. It's kind of, like I say, a little clunky. But yep. So Kanan, Zeb, Sabine, and Ezra, they're off, and they see an old Republic tank. It's actually a AT-TE Walker. We've seen those in Attack of the Clones, maybe even in Revenge of the Sith. I'm not remember. We've definitely seen them in the Clone Wars TV show, and this is kind of one that it's a little junkier looking. Looks like it's been through a lot, and that's where we meet. Well, as it's referred to in the episode, 3 old geezers. Zeb calls them these 3 geezers, and, well, they look awfully familiar to those of us who've watched the Clone Wars, because they are, well, the main one, of course, is Captain Rex, good old Rex from the Clone Wars. You know, I know he was a favorite of mine as well as a lot of people who watched that show. It's good to see him again, but he's also there with Commanders Wolffe and Gregor. These were also characters that we've seen in the Clone Wars. Wolffe, I don't quite remember. I remember the name being mentioned throughout the Clone Wars. I don't remember his specific storyline, but Gregor was kind of he was a clone that was either went AWOL or abandoned, kind of left on his own. And last we saw of him, you know, he kind of had a full beard and a thick head of hair, and he was kind of, well, he kind of believed to have died in an explosion, or at least blown up, but nope, he lives, and well, looks like he has a little bit of a screw loose. Yeah, he's got a little bit of a post traumatic stress disorder. He's just kind of you know, he's just loopy. So we got these three clones, and well, right away, Kanan knows who these guys are. He knows they're clones, and he's not having any trust with them. He immediately ignites his lightsaber and, you know, is ready to kind of, I don't know, battle them. Whatever, they start shooting at him. It's a whole mess. But as it turns out, these clones, well, it seems like they shouldn't really be feared. They've taken their chip out, the chip that was responsible for executing Order 66 and making them obey and betray the Jedi. So, but Kanan's not having anything to do with it. And I know I have issues with Kanan, but Kanan's a bit over the top in this episode. He's just so damn angry. He doesn't want to be a part of this rebellion. He wants to be on his own. He doesn't trust these clones, even though right at the beginning of the episode, as Ahsoka is sending our rebels off on this mission, she tells them that they must trust him. They must trust him, and she distresses that they have to trust who she's sending them off to go find. So obviously Ahsoka trusts Rex, but Kanan doesn't want to have anything to do with it. And obviously this is, you know, hard on Kanan. You know, he witnessed the clones kill his master. You know, kind of, if you've read the comic, you know that the clones were kind of hunting him down, and, you know, he got away, but only by the skin of his teeth. So obviously he's in an uncomfortable position, but I don't know. He's just a little bit little grating on me, and I just was like, come on, Kanan. So anyway, the clones, Rex in particular, he says that he doesn't really want to. He wants to stay out of the war. That he's done with it. Kind of by the end of the Clone Wars, he realized that war is kind of pointless, and people die for no reason in it. But he does have kind of a list of coordinates for some secret bases that the rebels might use, and he's willing to kind of give those to our band of rebels if and only if they will help them on a little mission as well. So really this episode kind of becomes about like what this little adventure is that the rebels need to help the clones do. Ends up being a little bit lighthearted. I'll tell you what it is. It's basically they need to hunt down these for lack of a better term, they're these creatures. They're sandworms, very very, very reminiscent of the sandworms from Dune. You may remember JP and I talked about Dune and its influence on Star Wars a long time ago. Well, these creatures in this episode, and I believe they are called Jubas, that they are, by all accounts, folks, these are sandworms. They're like very much the sandworms that were on planet Arrakis in Dune. For a little bit more current reference, they're like the creatures from the Kevin Bacon movie, Tremors. But apparently the clones want to, hunt one down and, basically use it for meat. It'll feed the clones for over a year. So in order to do this, they need Zeb's help. And Zeb volunteers or gets volunteered to do this. And, well, turns out Zeb is kind of the bait for these creatures. He's kind of led out in front of this walker that the clones use, and it's almost like he's on a fishing line. There's a tether, kind of a electronic lightning type tether that he's on, and kind of the sandworms kind of sense him, and lo and behold, one of them kind of starts to shake the ground under Zeb's feet and kind of swallows him whole, and obviously this does not sit well with Kanan. He gets even angrier. But it's even though Zeb is basically swallowed alive, and Kanan is super angry about all this, and it's kind of a seems like a serious situation. It's all kind of played for laughs. There's not a lot of, the tone of the episode is kind of lighthearted. Like I said, it's kind of silly, but we do have a side story going on too. The Imperials get an alert that they're a signal from this planet Selos, and they decide to send a probe droid down to investigate it because, any lead is a good lead. Apparently, the Imperials are a little bit smarter than they were, and by the time the actual movies roll around, they actually are investigating on all the signs of life on these planets. So they send a probe droid down. So this probe droid, very reminiscent of the one in Empire, kind of scoping out what's going on here, and our gang ends up finding it towards the end of this episode, and interesting enough, Kanan actually pulls out a blaster and starts shooting at it instead of using his lightsaber, but no, as it turns out, Zeb is the one that shoots it down and stops it, but only to realize that Wolffe, the other clone, was actually the one to kind of sent this message off to the Imperials. So well, maybe these clones can't be trusted, right? Maybe there is a little bit of reason not to trust them. Maybe they still have ties to the Empire, but we'll have to find out next time, folks, because this episode kind of ended there, and it's to be continued next week. So I guess we'll find out more. But in the meantime, I did watch kind of the behind-the-scenes episode that StarWars.com kind of posts for each episode, and sure enough, we're gonna find out more about these characters as time goes on. We got a preview of the next episode, and seems like maybe the Empire does come and kind of invades our planet before our rebels can get off of Selos alive. I'm guessing that the clones actually are trustworthy and do help our friends, but we'll see. But yeah, so that's episode 1 of Rebels. Kind of curious what you folks think. What do you think about this show in general? Is it better? Is it worse? Is it kind of going along the same path? I don't know. I know season 1 ended strong, so I still have pretty high hopes for this. I will say, watching this episode, I thought that the animation is a little bit better. Possibly it's I don't know. The lighting might have been a little bit nicer. I don't know. It just things seemed it felt like they were definitely outside on this planet, on this walker. So, good things to come. I hope for the rest of this, but in the meantime, it's nice to get things kind of starting to tie together with the one TV show tying to the next one, and even the Kanan comic book slightly being referenced in this. Kanan needs to explain to Ezra why he's so angry and not trustful of these clones, and he kind of has to tell Ezra that, look, he watched these clones, not these particular clones, but the clones kill his master, and we know that that was something that was portrayed in the comic book a little bit, slightly, and that the clones even hunted Kanan down for a little bit. So good that things are tying in, but not a super deep episode. No Vader, no Emperor in this. We did get Callus, good old Commander Porkchop himself was in this slightly, but other than that, the only real threat here was the probe droid and, Zeb being eaten alive, but even Zeb kind of wasn't that upset about it, so I know, folks, it's a kid's show. Probably looking for something a little bit more deep and dark, but that's because they gave us that in the Clone Wars, so just kind of looking for that spark again of deeper, darker shows, and we're not getting that quite yet with Rebels, but maybe soon. Anyway, folks, that's my take on episode 1 of season 2 of Rebels. Lots of stuff coming up in the next few weeks. Tomorrow, apparently, whenever you're listening to this, you've probably already have seen the real trailer for the Phantom Menace. I'm sure you've seen that trailer. No, the trailer for The Force Awakens. It's supposed to actually premiere on Monday Night Football, which at the time of this recording is actually tomorrow. And I was kind of joking at the beginning of this episode. There has been a lot of little things have come out as of today, but I'm going to say talking about that probably in my trailer wrap-up episode once I actually get to see the full trailer. But until then, folks, lots of good stuff coming up in the next few weeks. I hope you'll stick with us, and as always, folks, stay granular. Thanks.